Thursday morning. Welcome to First Things First. How should Joel Embiid feel after the Sixers' epic collapse? Also coming up, does KD have another historic performance in him tonight to send the Bucks packing? And finally, the Joker is back home in Serbia, and he's riding his horse chariot. Good Thursday morning. Welcome to the show. Kevin Wildes alongside Brandon Marshall and Nick Wright. Nicholas, has this latest video changed your mind about the Joker's MVP?
It hasn't. It has made me wish even more that the Blazers could have played better in that series, because I would have loved Adam Silver to present the MVP trophy on this field. Joker rides up in his horse, gets his trophy, rides away.
Oh, we're going to start this morning in Salt Lake City. Clippers Jazz Game 5. No Kawhi for the Clippers. Out with that knee injury. More on that later. Paul George rose to the occasion. One of his best postseason games ever. Performance of his career. 37 points, 16 rebounds. LA wins their third straight game in the series. They take a 3-2 advantage back home to the Staples Center. Here was George after the win.
This is the biggest game of our season, especially being down our best player. We wish Kawhi the best in a speedy recovery, but we knew coming into this, we had to play together. We had to step up.
I have a lot of respect for PG. Like, you can't judge a guy's career or what they do off of one series or forgot. Like, I mean, I know a lot of great players that have bad series or a bad game or a bad 2 games in a series, but you know, whenever he has a bad game, they want to make a big deal of it. So, I mean, it's whatever. You know, just keep playing, keep being who you are, and at the end of the day, you know, you can live with the results.
Only 2 guys this postseason have gone for at least 35, 15, and 5. KD on Tuesday.
Wow.
Paul George last night. Both big-time performances. So, Nick, how surprised were you by Paul George's performance?
Well, I think under normal circumstances, I would have been incredibly surprised. Under the circumstances of yesterday in the NBA, it barely resonated. From tip-off of the Nets-Bucks game until the end of that game, you had about a 28-hour stretch in the basketball ecosystem where the following happened. The Bucks blew a 17-point second-half lead, and Kevin Durant had one of the greatest games anyone has ever had. Then Chris Paul gets ruled out with COVID protocols. Then Kawhi Leonard gets ruled out with a knee injury. Then the Pelicans fire their coach. Then the Wizards fire their coach. Then the Mavs fire their front office, it would seem. The NBA gives out a Rookie of the Year award. The Sixers blow a 25-point lead late in the second half. And then a team that never loses at home, the Jazz, lose at home to a team that doesn't have its best player. So I don't even really know exactly what's happening. I don't know how I can predict anything moving forward, considering I wouldn't have predicted anything that happened yesterday. I will leave the predictions on this to Brandon, because he did see the possibility of the Paul George performance. So while Brandon will talk on Paul George, I want to say one thing on Ty Lue, because I'm hard on coaches. Crushed Bud yesterday, and about 21 minutes from now, Doc Rivers has it coming.
Don't do it.
But
don't do it.
Ty Lue deserves so much credit. Ty Lue, a man who has won 4 Game 7s, who the only team who has ever beaten him in a series are the KD Steph Warriors. Ty Lue, who was overlooked for job after job after he left Cleveland. What he has done, rendering the Defensive Player of the Year totally useless. What he has done going small, what he has done empowering his team. It's a brilliant coaching job, Brandon. Now, It doesn't matter if Paul George doesn't step up with one of the finest games of his maligned playoff career, but Ty Lue has been masterful this entire postseason, and it continued last night.
Right. 100%, and that speaks a lot to why this team is having the success they're having. Look, I can't sit up here and say that I expected Paul George to play this way. I do expect superstars or stars to step up in these type of moments. Let's go back to last year. One of the things I was saying during football season was when we evaluate players, we can't just look at the trends. We can't just look at the stats and the history. We also got to look at mindset. We don't do that a lot on television. We don't look at a guy. We don't look in his eyes. We don't look at his body language enough to say, okay, what is he going to do moving forward? So when we were in the bubble last year, Paul George said some interesting things, some powerful things. He said, I think I'm dealing with a little bit of depression, and I'm talking to my therapist. As an athlete, when you lose your confidence, or if you're not right in between the ears, you're done. You're done. So if we go back 2 years ago, we're looking at, NBA atmosphere, community, everybody's saying, oh, the Clippers are the best team. The Clippers are the best team. The Clippers are going to win. And then all of a sudden, you have this guy right here underperforms. So this year, one of the reasons why I picked the Clippers is because of what Paul George said. I was like, oh, okay, Paul George is a monster. We know that. You go back to the beginning of his career, the dude is nice on both ends of the court. Kawhi, we know what we're going to get out of Kawhi. We love Doc Rivers. I know you're going to crush him in 20 minutes, but back then we loved Doc Rivers, all right? So now you fast forward to this year, I love taking an underdog. And he had a good year this year. He wasn't phenomenal, but he had a really good year. And so when your superstar goes down and you have a star still on the roster, then this is the moment. We saw KD do it. We saw other guys do it game after game after game. Oh, it's on me. It's time for me to step up. So I absolutely love what I saw at Paul George last night. I would have actually shot the ball more. To see him come out the way he did said a lot about his confidence. He didn't force it. He let the game come to him early. Yeah. He got all the shots he wanted. So hats off to Paul George. Phenomenal, phenomenal way to turn playoff P into playoff P. But we need to see it a couple more times, Paul. We need to see it a couple more times.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think we will. I actually think, Nick, that Paul George is a Batman in Robin's clothing. Like in Indiana, he was Batman. It was all on him. Then he made the decision, you know what? I don't want to go kind of like the Dame Lillard route. I'm in a small market. I can't probably do it on my own. Let me team up with Russ. That's Russ's team. When we go to LA, that's Kawhi's team. Well, right now, it's his team. And I think he's more comfortable in this setting where there are no other options. You have to do it all yourself, and I think he's going to thrive in there. But I want to talk about the other superstar on the court. And I'm a little bit nervous here, a little bit nervous, because when there was that huge barrage at the beginning of this game and Donovan Mitchell wasn't a real part of it, like, Donovan, being savvy, letting other guys eat, knows the flow of the game. I was like, I don't know if that's it. The guy doesn't look 100% right. Then he shot this three and it went in, and the broadcast didn't talk about it. They're like, oh, look, he just made the shot. I'm like, that's not a celebration. That's not a one-legged, look at this, a cool dance. That is my ankle hurts a lot. And he's been playing through it since game 2, the whole series, since the Memphis series, and he was out 16 games of the regular season, but it's getting worse and worse and worse. I don't know if Conley's coming back with a hamstring, Nick, so I could actually see the Clippers winning 4 straight and sending the Jazz home.
Listen, the Donovan clearly wasn't right. He was, I think, 6 of 19 last night, but he had 4 threes. So that means he made 2 shots inside the three-point line. And I know that the Jazz were worried about his ankle. It's why they held him out of game 1 of the playoffs, even though he wanted to go. And he is just on the long list of stars who we either are out, he's luckily not out, but are limited by an injury in this injury-plagued year. But, Wilds, it's so interesting that you said the other superstar. And I thought, oh, well, he must be talking about the only other All-NBA player, because Paul George is All-NBA, who was actually playing last night. Because that's not Donovan Mitchell. That is MVP candidate, runaway defensive player of the year, All-NBA Rudy Gobert. And you've got old Nick Wright saying, I think Rudy Gobert, as great as he is defensively, can be eliminated on both sides of the court. We know he's not a great offensive player, and the right scheme against him can eliminate him defensively. And John Hollinger says, Nick, you're an idiot. My metric says it's the greatest defensive season anyone's ever had. He actually is not only the best player on his team, he's one of the 3 best players in the league this year. And I said, oh, Mr. Hollinger, I hope you watched last night, because I did. I stayed up late to watch Rudy Gobert turn into a 7'3" French statue. Because what is he going to do when there are no bigs out there? Oh, you're going to get cooked. That's in the first half. Oh, you want me to guard on the perimeter? Oh, but now I have to get back to the rim. That's not going to work. Okay.